Hello everyone, welcome to Sickle Style. Today's video we're going to be talking about how African countries can benefit from the BRICS. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the BRICS, just stay tuned. But before we start talking about the BRICS and how African countries could benefit from them, please, you already know what to do. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Right? Subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you've already been part of this family, please watch the video, like it, share it, invite more people in. Well, now let's get down to it. Right? For those who are not familiar with the BRICS are a group of 5 emerging economies. Right? They are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS, right? So it's spelled as BRICS, BRICS. These countries have come together to do an economic and political partnership and cooperations. Now, I know those are some big words, like whatever, but pretty much they're just working together as friends to help each other out in the political and economic arena. Now, they also have one more thing that they have underneath their sleeves, which is working together to challenge the Western power structure that already exists. Right? So pretty much just challenging the status quo. Because the status quo, as we know, is the West. The West being America is the leading, Europe and Australia and other Western countries, right? So that being said, let's see how Africa could benefit from this new BRICS, these new allies or alliances of countries coming together to push forward their political and economic benefit. How can African countries benefit from it? One, South Africa, which is part of Africa, is already a member of the BRICS, so that's one benefit, whatever that means. But we're not gonna stop there. Let's look at the holistic picture. How can African countries benefit from this? Now, the first and foremost benefit will come in the form of investment. The BRICS do have a lot of money to invest, especially when you look at Africa, you look at China. China is investing heavily in Africa. That's just one country, one BRICS country that has taken their investment level in Africa to the next. You could arguably, China is becoming Africa's biggest trading partner. Some people even go to a point that China is taking over Africa, right? That's a whole different ballgame. We're gonna get into that. But investment, to say the least. Russia has been investing in Africa, Brazil, all these BRICS countries, India, send rest to some of these countries that I couldn't even in my own country, Liberia, we get rice from India. Investment opportunities, right? You have Indians in the continent working together. So that brings that investment aspect, right? Investment is definitely a huge, because again, keep in mind, these are rapidly growing economy, right? The BRICS, they are rapidly growing economies, except now with the war in Russia with Ukraine, but still, Russia is still, economically, they're not flat out yet, all right? And that's just one country. We're looking at India. India is still economic power, they're pushing, they're growing. Brazil is still standing. China, of course, still dominating. Number 2 economy in the whole wide world. So China is there. So keep that in mind. Now, trade, I already mentioned. Investment will be in the form of what? They're gonna bring a lot of investment in African countries. China is already doing that. Most of these other countries are already doing that. Trade also is a major part. China is already working in some part of Africa, trying to connect the Silk Road project, and they're doing it. China is really investing in this, trying to globalize that aspect where trade from China comes directly to Africa, and vice versa, create some kind of trading partnership with these countries, trying to go in there, take the natural resources and minerals And then in exchange, they send their goods and product to African countries. But that's just one country, but you're looking at Russia also, you're looking at India, you're looking at Brazil, all these corporations that are going, South-South Corporation or Southeast Corporation, whatever you want to say, there's a lot going on between this country and they all evolve around trade, right? And that's happening, right? Another thing is infrastructure. China, pretty much like I said, China is like the dominant because it's the world number 2, right? Biggest economy and superpower, arguably. So yeah, infrastructure is huge, right? One of the goals of the BRICS is to promote development and infrastructure in all the members countries. But again, by African countries working with the BRICS or joining the BRICS, that will be part of that package, right? The infrastructure. And Africa, which continent needs more infrastructure development than Africa at this point, right? Africa really needs a lot of infrastructure development. And by joining the BRICS, they could definitely benefit hugely, bigly from that, right? So infrastructure is one of the things. And last but not least, political cooperation, right? Africa, China, Russia are already part of the what? Right? The Security Council of the United Nations. Now, if you have an alliance or you are in cahoot or you guys are in agreement with China and Russia to back you up, for instance, the African Union to join the Security Council as a body, right? That could be achieved because now the United States is saying something like that. But again, that political cooperation, China and Russia could veto any movement of the Security Council. For instance, what happened when they went to go kill Gaddafi, it was a Security Council resolution that authorized the French, the American to use their military to go kill Gaddafi in Libya. Now, if China and Russia, if Africa was part of the BRICS, like hugely influenced with African leaders saying, no, we don't want any military intervention in our continent or in our countries, they could veto, right? In the Security Council, they could have the veto power. The African Union or the African could veto that and say, no, we don't want any, we will resolve this in our own way, the African way, whatever that is. It's like we're going to negotiate with these leaders and make sure that the people are satisfied and we move forward. So political cooperation is huge, right? When they work together to resolve these issues, so the BRICS will bring that also, because now if you have two veto member meaning on the Security Council, these veto members would be, in this case, China and Russia. You have these two superpower backing you up as a continent. Africa, when I say Africa as a continent as a whole, if you have these two backing you up, it will be really important in the international forum so that Africa could be able to advance our interests. African leaders could be able to advance Africa's interests. So politically also it would be huge, right? All in all, the BRICS is important and Africa has a lot to benefit from joining the BRICS, right? There are many ways in which African countries can benefit from the BRICS, from investing in trade to infrastructure and political corporations. The BRICS offer a range of opportunities for African countries to grow and strive. Now, so if you are an African country looking to boost your economy and improve, international standing, the BRICS could be the perfect partner for you. I think it is. It could be really, if you really want to boost your standing, it could be a perfect partner for you. So there are some benefit that African country definitely could get from the BRICS. If you like what I'm talking about, you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, man, so YouTube could take us around. Hey, thank you so much for listening. It has been nothing but jelly, peace, and love.